Sixto. There could not be a better name.
I love the names on this team. They have Sixto Sanchez, and they have my favorite name probably in baseball right now, Jazz Chisholm.
To win a championship, not only do you need great players on the court, but you need good chemistry, which takes time to develop.
It's weird how the dynamic works between sports. But
showing emotion in baseball is terrible and should never be in the game.
Blame Luke Walton for that. They have a lot of young players that I believe can really excel in this league.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
Justin Fields is a all-time talent, and we definitely need to take into consideration his health.
This was a trade that the Senators really hope would work out, as Matt Murray has won the Cup 2 times.
Even though this is Mr. Irrelevant, he may be Mr. Playing Time after this season's over.
Just amazing, and I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Charlie McAvoy also is, I think, a Norris contender, a top 5 Norris contender this year.
When Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones make jokes about not valuing the safety position, well, we can make jokes about you not being in Super Bowl for 20-something years, but
I feel like Luka will take that next step, and if he can get a 3 ball consistently around 35%, I feel like they could become a contender.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up, and when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
What's up, everyone? This is Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild and Lift the Mask, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our 55th episode. Make sure to check out our 54th episode, which was MLB Power Rankings, the first ever in our history. Also, make sure to check out our 6th interview, where we interviewed a man of many talents, Justin Goldman. Just heard the new intro. I can't name all the talents he has off my head, so make sure to go check out the interview where you'll listen to the intro. It was really a great interview, and it was great getting to know Justin. So we appreciate him, and make sure to go check out that interview. Now we will be doing an NHL playoffs preview. Disclaimer, this is not our predictions. That will be in a separate episode. This is just a preview of the games, head-to-head, last 10 for each team, and then some key injuries. So I will let Austin start off his thoughts on the Penguins versus the Islanders.
Yeah, so this should be a close series. Barry Trotz is an accomplished coach who's already won a Stanley Cup before in 2018, and the Penguins obviously won in 2016 and 2017. So there's a lot of familiarity there between Barry Trotz and the Penguins, but the Islanders in their last 7 have not been good. Another disclaimer, we are combining overtime/shootout losses with regular losses because in the playoffs, it does not matter if you lose in the overtime or not. It just is a loss. So the Islanders are 3-7 in their last 10. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the Islanders, even though the East is really competitive, this will be competitive, but you want to head into the playoffs, no matter the sport, on a hot streak, and the Penguins are doing that, and the Islanders are definitely not doing that. As you mentioned, only 3 wins and 7 losses in their last 10. And then the Penguins also have a head-to-head of 6-2 versus the Islanders, and I think also the Penguins have more determination, as they are listed as Stanley or Cup or bust. They're one of our teams. Just because Crosby's starting to get older, while he can still play, it's just you want to get as many trophies as you can. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. And another person to name is Evgeny Malkin. He's kind of taken a little bit of a step back. They also got Jeff Carter, who's another older player, who I think scored 4 goals in a game and a couple games ago, which is really cool. Rare feat, especially for his age. But another thing that we failed to mention was the last 10 for the Penguins is 8-2. And with that 6-2 head-to-head record, it just looks like the Penguins have all the momentum currently. There's no key injuries for either team besides Anders Lee, who I think is out for the season. Let me just check this. We didn't write it down,
Yeah,
but I'm
I'll
90.
I'll talk about the Jeff Carter 4 goal performance. It was against the Buffalo Sabres, and it was about a week ago. So, um, just another reason heading in. You got Jeff Carter, the older guy, 4 goal performance about a week ago. So it's definitely he's starting to heat up at the right moment, and he was, I believe, a trade deadline acquisition. So, doing hope their Penguins are hoping that they can get more from him. Any updates on your
Trying
search?
to find it. Trying to find it. Just give me 2 more seconds, and I should be able to find it. I'm
This is
pretty
a
sure
rare
he's
moment.
out for the year, as I think he tore his ACL. Yes, Anders Lee will miss the rest of the season, and Ross Johnston is out for the is on injured reserve. So both of those guys are out. Anders Lee's the captain. He definitely was a catalyst for this team in the playoffs last year, and I think that's why they're 3-7 in their last 10. So that definitely will be a downgrade whoever does step in for him.
Yeah, very true. And it's going to be a tough uphill battle for the Islanders, but a great series to watch for the fans. Now we head to the Capitals versus the Bruins. Capitals in their last 10 are 7-3. The Bruins are 6-4, a little bit better, a lot closer together, and this makes sense because they're the 2 and 3 seed, so would be more competitive. Their head to head score is also 4-4, so definitely going to be a much closer series. But the East Division, it's always going to be close for this moment. And now I'll let Austin talk about his favorite team.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, the Boston Bruins are my favorite team in hockey. Ever since I really got into hockey, I've always been a Boston Bruins fan. And it's looking good this year. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, and since we picked up Taylor Hall, I think our secondary scoring has definitely improved. But Zdeno Chara does play for the Washington Capitals. That will be something to look out for, as he's a defenseman and should know a good bit about the scheme for the Boston Bruins, as he played for them for a number of seasons. Um, as you said, this is going to be a very intense, close series where Tom Wilson's probably going to get in a couple fights because not many people like him, at least of the players, because of the hits that he does put on to some people. But I definitely anticipate this to be a great series. I could see it going 6 or 7, but this isn't the predictions. But like the East is the best division this year, and it's really proven. And this should be one of the best series that we've watched in the first round.
Very high remarks on the East Division, but I agree with you there. So I think we can move on to the next team. Now we go into the Central Division. Sadly, the Stars did not get the 4th seed, and the Predators got the 4th seed. And the Hurricanes' last 10 are 5-5. And because the Stars couldn't make it, the Predators played so well in their last 10, 7-3. And the head-to-head between these two teams are 6-2 versus the Hurricanes. But I believe one of those wins came very just a few days ago because that's what sealed the Stars' fate with the Predators beating the Hurricanes. So it's definitely going to be, I don't know if it's going to be close, but it should be a good series. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so the Predators were actually had lost every game this year until late this season when the last 2 games came around. And like Kevin just said, the Hurricanes lead this series 6-2. Those 2 losses came in the last 2 games of the season. So the Predators still on a hot streak, as you said, they've won 7 of their last 10 games. While the Hurricanes have struggled a little bit as they're 5-5, which isn't the greatest, and they lost twice to the Predators at the end of the season. So I think this may be closer than people anticipate. Saros has played amazing as a goaltender, but it's gonna be interesting to see what happens as the Predators at the beginning of the season were really down and out. They really did not look like they had a chance of making it. It really looked like it was a Blackhawks versus Stars battle for that 4 seed, and that's not how it turned out. The Predators got there, so we'll have to see what they're going to do. They obviously have Roman Yossi, who's won the North last season, and has played very impressively at the tail end of this year. So I definitely think it's going to be a good series.
Yeah, it definitely will. And then this should be a closer series because these are the teams that are really leading the way at the beginning, but they've kind of slowed down. and that is the Panthers versus the Lightning. Panthers are 8-2 in their last 10, so they're starting to heat up. Lightning are 6-4, so the Panthers have a little bit more of an edge. And then the head-to-head is 5-3 for the Panthers. And one key injuries, there are a lot, but I'm just going to talk about the Panthers. Ekblad, who was just playing incredible this season, got injured. That's not a new thing. But their replacement, Sam Bennett, who they got at the trade deadline, has been injured, and he is going to miss Monday's game, which could be a pivotal game in this series. So, and then you have Gaudreau for the Lightning, the right winger. So, what are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so the Panthers have really been a great story throughout this season. I've been impressed by their additions and how Carter Verhaeghe, who played for the Lightning last season, has played this year in his step in. Patrick Hornfist, who last year played for the Penguins and is now stepped into a bigger role. Like you said, Sam Bennett, who played last year in Calgary in the playoffs. He will be out, but I anticipate him to have a huge impact on this game, or this series, I should say. Um, and it's gonna be good. These were obviously two teams vying for the one seed that didn't get it because the Hurricanes passed them. But I definitely anticipate this to be a flat out series as these two teams ended off the regular season facing each other, and I think Predators took both games, and that's how they got the 2 seed.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that. Now the next series is the Maple Leafs versus the Canadiens. I don't think this one's going to be close. Maple Leafs are just on a tear offensively, and and the Maple Leafs are 7-3 in their last 10, while the Canadiens are 4-6. Also in head-to-head, same record. Maple Leafs are 7-3 versus the Canadiens. Maple Leafs are definitely trying to go all the way. I think they have the potential to, but this isn't a predictions video, so make sure to keep following us when we do our predictions. But what are your thoughts on the Maple Leafs versus the Canadiens?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call the Canadians out of it. We've seen Carey Price steal a series or two before, and they can go on a run. They also have Corey Perry, Tyler Toffoli, uh, Josh Anderson, um, and one other player I can't remember his name who won a cup with the Blackhawks. Well, all these guys are in their first year with the team, and they should bring some sense of experience with their young core players. I'm really interested to see how this team adjusts to the Maple Leafs' high intensity offense, as Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner have really been unstoppable this season, scoring wise. And the only way that the Canadians will have a chance is if they can use Carey Price to their advantage and continue to do well. But like you said, it says in the predictions video. The Maple Leafs definitely have the advantage, and since there are no real key injuries to mention, I think this is going to be a flat-out series. Here is a fun fact for all of you that are listening. Every time the Maple Leafs and Canadians have played each other in the playoffs, the winner has won the cup. That is something to watch out for. We'll see if that streak continues. And it's obviously been a while since it's happened. Since either team, the last Canadian team to win a cup was in 1993 when the Montreal Canadiens did it. So we'll have to see if that streak continues, or whether or not another Canadian team can win, as it's been 20. This would be the 28th season without it.
Wow, that's some nice little trivia given to us by Austin. Reminds me of our baseball trivia with Miami Marlins. Every time until this past year, they were in the
We
wild
won't
card. They won
count
the
that, Kevin. We
World
won't
Series.
count that because they were below the top five. But we'll say that one doesn't count. 2020 was a weird year.
Or it goes into the gray area.
Yeah,
Gray,
yeah.
we'll put it there because make sure to talk to our MLB or listen to our MLB power rankings where we talk about the gray area. But let's get back to NHL hockey. And now we go to the Oilers versus the Jets. Last 10, Oilers are 8-2. Jets are the reverse, 2-8 in their last 10. And then head to head, Oilers are 7-2 against the Jets. So this should be a more competitive one because they are the 2 and 3 seed. But the Jets definitely are not heading into it on a hot start. They've cooled off with only getting 2 wins and having 8 losses, while the Oilers are definitely hot. And the Oilers definitely are a team to look out for. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so I think this series may be more of a blowout than the other one, but we'll have to see what happens. And again, this isn't a prediction, so I'm not going to tell my pick. But another fun fact, Connor McDavid this season has had more 3-point games than no-point games, which is insane. And he's definitely been on a tear this season, and the Jets struggle on defense, which is not a great pairing when you go against Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. So with the Jets not having the best defenseman and no key injuries really to mention, it's going to have to be a crazy run by Connor Hellebuck to give them a chance. However, he won the Vezina last year, and I wouldn't hold him against it.
And you mentioned defense. Just going back to the trade deadline, the Jets tried to add more depth and by getting Jordy Ben from the Canucks, so maybe he can help. Or when you're going against Connor McDavid, it's a tough task for anyone. But I think we can move on to the Avalanche and the Blues. This is definitely, I think they just played each other a few days ago. I'm not sure about I'll double check that. But the Avalanche in their last 10 are 8-2, while the Blues are 6-4. And head to head, Avalanche are 5-3. So, what are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so obviously the Blues won a championship in 2019 and are seeking to find some of the magic that happened then, but this Avalanche team is definitely on a mission. Um, it's been impressive to see what they did as they had to win their last 2 games to clinch the President's Trophy, which means that they do have home field or home ice advantage, I believe, for the rest of the playoffs. I don't know how it's going to work this year because of how this thing's playoff set up. I don't know who has the higher seed if it's based on points because every team only played against teams in their division. I'll have to check up on my facts and I'll get it to you by the next when I do my predictions so that it can impact it. But definitely the Avalanche have played like a top 3 team this year, and uh, even though a hot Blues team is in their way, the Avalanche are 5-3 against the Blues, and while this may be a good series, it's definitely going to be a tough one for the Blues.
Yeah, I was wrong about the St. Louis Blues and the Avalanche playing recently. They haven't played since Monday, April 26th, so about 20 days off on that one. So definitely agree with you there on the Avalanche. Are definitely in it to prove because last year they came so close in pulling off the comeback against the Dallas Stars until Yoel Kiviranta had his hat trick in Game 7. Injuries halted them there, and just great play from the Stars then. So that is something they're definitely trying to get to the Cup because they are. I think they are the top in odds in Las Vegas to win the Cup. Um, so, but I think we can go to the next team. So the next team, final series, is the Golden Knights versus the Wild. Golden Knights in their last 10 are 7-3, and the Wild are just 5-5. And the Wild are actually better in head to head with a 5-3 record. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so it just seems like Vegas can beat every team this year except for the Wild. As you said, the Wild have a winning record, which I think is the only team that has a winning record against Vegas this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado also holds that banner, but I don't believe that's true. I'll actually check while you mention what you think about this series.
Yeah, so the Colorado Avalanche are the best team in odds in Las Vegas if you're a betting person. And then the Vegas Golden Knights are second. And it's definitely the Golden Knights are also trying to prove themselves. They have yet to win a Stanley Cup in their history, even though their first season they made it there when they lost to the Capitals. And they've definitely made some trades to get Janmark. Wild are also a tough team. They have Kaprizov, the rookie sensation, who's most likely going to win the trophy for Rookie of the Year.
Calder.
The Calder Trophy. Thank you, Austin, for helping me out on that one. So it's definitely going to be a good series because even though we've mentioned the East is the best division, was the best division because I don't think they're going to have these alignments again. I think the West was a tough second, even though I think you could argue about the fourth spot, but definitely having the Avalanche and the Golden Knights in the same division makes it really tough. So that's why I say they're the second best division, or was the second best division this year. But definitely a good series. Any more thoughts?
Yeah, so I just checked up. The Wild was the only team this year to have a winning record against Vegas. The next closest was Colorado with a 4-4 record. They tied that series. So the Wild were the only one to have a winning point percentage against them, which is definitely something to note as these teams are playing in the first round of the playoffs. The Wild are another team that has not won a Stanley Cup ever. They're their team that used to be in Minnesota, the North Stars, now the Dallas Stars, have won one in 1999, but that doesn't count, I guess. But the Wild are definitely a team that stepped up this year. We weren't anticipating them to be as good as they were, and for them to be a top three seed in a very tough division, as you said, and they had 75 points this year. They had a 35-16-5 record, which is really impressive. There are three teams at the top of this division that were definitely above the rest of the bottom five. Um, the Wild were actually closer to the two seed than most people anticipated, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kaprizov and the rest of this crew, Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props, he definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more. Uh, I definitely think this is going to be a great series, and I'm interested to see how much Kaprizov can impact the game as a rookie.
Yeah, and we will see that shortly. And now I believe that concludes our playoffs preview for the NHL. Make sure to check out our last episode where we did MLB Power Rankings, and then our next episode will be our NHL playoff predictions episode. So we've given you a little preview. Now we're going to make our own predictions. Austin now will be facing off once again. Maybe I can steal a playoffs win against Austin. Who knows? So make sure to check that out. Also, make sure to check out our interview with Justin Goldman. One talent of his, though, is he is the emergency backup goalie for the Avalanche. So we talked a little bit about the Avalanche and the Stars Game 7 in our interview. So make sure to check that out. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.